All right, I'm live here. I thought this would be the easiest way to kind of go through this situation today. I don't know how to explain this. This is very bizarre to me personally, as a podcaster and as a fan of comedy, and interviewed many comedians. And one of the comedians I've interviewed is Jim Florentine, who's also the co-host of That Metal Show for you music fans. But he had a post today, and I kind of like jaw dropped a little bit when I saw it because this is very strange to me. So we'll go ahead and just share it here. If I can figure out how to, hopefully I can figure out how to do all this stuff. Okay. So we're going to add this to the stage. All right. No, that's the wrong slide. Shoot. All right. It's this one. Okay. So Jim Florentine, here he was. He posted this on Instagram. I need to clean up my act. My comedy shows in Seattle are now being canceled along with Gomez comedy. That's Luis Gomez, The Problem, Dave Smith comedian, and Kurt Metzger. So if you're not familiar with these comedians, they're all great comedians. So he actually posted the email that he got from this club owner. And so I'll read the thing in full here from Jim's Instagram. So it says, after careful consideration and discussions with our team, investors, local comedians, and neighborhood advocacy groups, we've encountered a challenging situation that requires us to revisit the planned shows. Capitol Hill is known for its progressive values, and we've received significant feedback expressing concerns about the alignment of these upcoming shows with the neighborhood ethos. This feedback includes concerns from local advocacy groups that are deeply embedded in our community and work towards upholding its values. Okay. Given the feedback and to avoid any potential negative impact on both our club and the artists involved, as well as to maintain the harmony within our community, we believe the most responsible course of action is to not move forward with the shows for Dave Smith, Luis Gomez, Jim Florentine, and sadly, Kurt Metzger. I don't know why only Kurt got the sadly. What the fuck? Like, aren't the other guys good too? Like, I definitely know Jim. I've followed his career for a while. I actually got to have him on the show. It was amazing. Dave and Luis, from what I know, they're good comedians too. But also sadly, Kurt Metzger. Anyways, the decision was not made lightly, and we want to ensure it does not reflect on your talent and the quality of your work, but is instead a reflection on our commitment to our community's values. We also ensure that any tickets sold are refunded promptly to our patrons, and we will communicate this decision to them with the sensitivity and respect it deserves. We truly value the art of comedy and the diverse perspectives it brings to our lives. It's our hope that we can find a way to work together in the future under different circumstances. In the meantime, we are committed to making the transition as smooth as possible and are here to discuss any concerns or questions you may have. Oh, I got some questions and I got some concerns. Thank you for your understanding and your incredible contributions to the world of comedy. We wish you all the best in your upcoming projects and hope to have the opportunity to collaborate in the future. Comedy bar owner and booker. Okay, well, they didn't use their name, and that's fine. I'm not trying to call anybody out here. I don't see the point of that. I don't think that we should do a boycott. I think those things are stupid. I just want to understand why. I'm a curious person. I'm inquisitive, and I'm trying to understand this. I'm from Seattle, so I know Seattle values, I guess, and how they've really changed in the last 15 years or so since I've moved away. I believe in freedom. And that means that the club has the freedom to not have these comedians if they don't want to. And that's their prerogative. I'm trying to understand why. I mean, is this being inclusive? Like, what did these comedians do? So, first off, I'm going to cross racism off the list as a reason for this, because Jim Florentine dated Robin Quivers from Howard Stern show, and she's a black woman. So I don't think he could be racist, at least against black people. And then Luis Gomez is, I'm assuming he's a person of color. I mean, I don't think the last name Gomez is Irish. So I think he's Hispanic. So I don't think it's racism. And if never heard of any of these comedians being racist. When I Googled that, I didn't come up with anything. When I Googled like transphobic or homophobic, I didn't come up with anything connected to these comedians. It's not to say they haven't made a comment or a joke that was offensive, but I couldn't find a major news story or a clip that was titled something like that or a status update. I know that Capitol Hill, when I was in Seattle, was kind of known as the quote unquote gay part of town. So I don't know if that's what it was. I mean, that's again, I Googled the names. I tried to find out, is there something that they've said? I mean, like I said, I followed Jim's career for quite a long time. I've seen his specials and followed him on social media for years. I've never seen anything that made me raise an eyebrow about homophobic or transphobic. So, I mean, they said it was their progressive values, but I feel like people right now, people are saying things and I don't think we even know what the hell we're talking about anymore. So I'm trying to figure this out. Let's add this thing that I use the University of Google here. I think because Google is Google not considered a progressive company, right? So these are things I found on Google. So progressive values, it's emphasized the importance of government intervention to address social and economic issues. Government should play a role addressing issues as poverty, inequality, and discrimination. Okay. I mean, aren't they kind of being discriminated against? Equity, equality, and fairness. Is this fair to the comedians? Is this fair to the people that wanted to see them? Protecting individual rights and freedoms. I mean, I feel like they had a right to perform. I don't understand a right to make a living. And I mean, they were booked at these clubs. Protecting marginalized communities. Okay. So that's what I'm thinking. Like, this is a marginalized community thing. So I'm just trying to figure out why they don't like these comedians. What did these comedians do? Let's see. What else can we define? Progressivism, political philosophy that holds that it's possible to improve human societies through political reform or through government mandates. Advance the human condition through social reform based on purported achievements in science, technology, and social organization. Okay. Social liberalism. Okay. Still kind of confusing here. Let's see. What does this say? Okay. All this brings us to the responsibility, the value that most plainly sets progressives apart from conservatives. We take responsibility for the well-being of our nation by crafting policies to extend freedom, opportunity, and security to all. Conservatives cynically turn the world inside out by chanting a mantra of personal responsibility. They mean that unemployment, hunger, and discrimination are the individual's problems, not society's. In this way, conservatives twist the language of responsibility to avoid responsibility. It's downright Orwellian. Well, aren't they kind of discriminating against the comedians? Am I hearing that wrong? Okay, well, and what is Orwellian? That's a term that gets thrown around a lot too. Let's define that. So Orwellian is an adjective describing a situation, idea, or societal condition that George Orwell identified as being destructive to the welfare of free and open society. That detonates an attitude and brutal policy of draconian control by propaganda, surveillance, disinformation, denial of truth, and manipulation of the past, including the unperson, a person whose past existence is expunged from public record and memory, practiced by modern repressive governments. Man, this stuff is getting very technical. Often this includes circumstances depicted in novels, particularly 1984, despite the narrative depicting a society in which only government employees are under repressive scrutiny, but political doublespeak is criticized. Okay, so it's getting very technical, but I'm still confused. I guess I still don't get it. I think one of the definitions of liberalism had like the word libertarian, which if you go to Dave Smith's Instagram, it says that he's a libertarian. So why did he get canceled? I don't understand. I'm trying to understand. Can someone help me? Maybe I'm too stupid. I'm not the smartest person. I understand that. But I think I think there's a fear right now. These comedians are being accused of, people are scared of these comedians coming to their town because they're so terrible. So imagine if the tables were turned and there were some gay or trans comedians that wanted to perform in the Bible Belt, and the club said, this doesn't align with our values. Is that okay? I mean, I'm just trying to understand this. So maybe the people are afraid of these comedians. So let's talk about fear. I want to tell you a story. This is actually like embarrassing, but I used to have a fear of mascots when I was a kid. And like the mascots at like Chuck E. Cheese or Showbiz, and you go in as a kid and like these giant things would like walk around, and they just creeped me out because they didn't talk and they just had like giant eyes and giant heads, and like it just creeped me the fuck out. But I remember one time, like I was going to this birthday party, and I think somebody must have tipped them off that I was afraid. And so the people at the Chuck E. Cheese or Showbiz, whatever it was, they said, "Hey, we're gonna help you out here. We're gonna take you back into the room where the mascots get dressed up, and we're gonna show you like how the mascot gets dressed." And like they showed how it's a costume. Like there's nothing to be afraid of. They showed you like the inner workings of mascots and how it's just a person, and they just put a head on, and it's just playing a game. And it still kind of freaked me out. I'm not going to lie, but the point is that I think like, if you actually sit down and try to address these fears and try to talk it out, I think that you could actually come to a better understanding than just canceling the shows. I think all the best things happen on the other side of fear. And I think if these two sides would sit, or three sides, if you want to say, because I feel like the comedy club owner is in the middle of all this, right? So you got the comedy club owner, and then you got the other advocacy groups or local comedians. And then you have the road performers that want to come and do a show in Seattle. And again, I don't think people should boycott the comedy club. I don't think they should boycott the comedians. I don't think they should boycott the advocacy groups or send hate mail or protest. Or none of those things are really solving the problem, right? What I would rather do is sit down with these comedians and the club owner and the advocacy groups, or, if that's too many, maybe just one-on-one, maybe a representative of the group and one of the comedians. But I think we could sit down and we could work this thing out. And I think this is just a microcosm of society right now. We're not working these problems out, and we're just canceling things and canceling people. And I just don't see how we move. I feel like we're going backwards as a society if we don't work things like this out. And I used to sit down with teenagers when I was a school counselor. I did this for 17 years. And I would sit down with kids and talk out their problems. We called this a mediation. So I am offering my services as a podcaster / school counselor. I feel like if I can do it with middle school kids, I can do it with adults. Trust me, middle school kids are much harder to talk to, but I can sit down with one or all of the comedians, Jim, Dave, Kurt, and Lewis. You're all invited. A representative of the advocacy groups or the local comedians or anyone else who does not want these comedians there, and a comedy club owner. And I think we should just hash this out like adults. Let's hear concerns from both sides. If there's an advocacy group, they say, "Hey, you did these jokes and those were offensive, or those might raise stereotypes or things like that." Let's hear those concerns. And then I want to hear from the comedians. I mean, if they're still even interested, maybe they've just given up and moved on to other shows. They're very talented comedians. But I would like to try to solve this problem if anybody's interested. I got 5 people watching this, so I'm guessing probably not. But hey, I just wanted to put myself out there, and I appreciate you watching this. And let's follow this comedy club. If they don't want to, if the club owner does not want to come on, or they don't want to work this out, let's see how long this comedy club lasts, because I just don't see this being an effective policy for a comedy club. And it wasn't just, again, it's not one comedian. I thought it was like one show. And I was like, oh, okay, this is like the ragtag comedy group. These are 4 separate shows that they're canceling, of 4 separate comedians. I just don't see how you make it as a comedy club if you're going to do that. So I'll leave you with this. If you're invited to 2 parties, right? This weekend, let's say you're invited to 2 parties. One of the parties, there are going to be strict rules about what you're allowed to discuss, who you're allowed to talk to, and what you're allowed to joke about. Okay, that's one party. The next party, it's no hold barred. You can talk to anybody you want. You can discuss whatever you want. I mean, you're going to have to face the consequences of that if you go in there and say a bunch of horrible things, and people are probably going to kick you the fuck out. But those are your choices. So which party do you want to go to? And I'll leave you with that. All right. Thank you for listening to my little live stream. Have a nice day.